Women's football has never been just about playing sport. It has always been political. Women have been playing football.
Let's start with the facts. Women cannot play football.
What do you mean?
They can't.
Women cannot play football.
It's well
As
established.
I was saying, women have been playing football since the 19th century, probably even earlier than that.
A time there is for all, my mother often says, when she, with skirts tucked very high, with girls at football plays. Philip Sidney wrote that in 1580. 1580.
1580. And the first reported game was in 1881, when England ladies played Scotland in Edinburgh, watched by 1,000 spectators.
And what a spectacle that was. If I remember rightly, the newspapers called it a mixture of a fashion parade and a Victorian freak show. That wasn't football.
No, that was just the start of women's struggle to take on the male-dominated sporting establishment.
Women can write stories, paint pictures, ride horses, even row boats. But politics, riding a bicycle and playing football is utterly beyond them.
Tell that to Lady Florence Dixie if you dare.
And to Nettie Honeyball, they organised the first British ladies football club in 1895.
Nettie Honeyball, a pseudonym for goodness knows who.
These women showed Victorian society that women are not the ornamental and useless creatures that men have always portrayed us
Those
as.
women were nothing more than troublemakers. They had already been involved in such silly radical fads as a radical dress movement.
They were trying to free women from having to wear clothes which damaged and restricted their bodies.
And after their first match at Crouch End, the British Ladies Football Club went on the road and in the next 6 months played 34 games throughout Britain.
Indecent and ridiculous, a passing wind. That's how the newspapers reported it.
Excuse me, so how do you account for the fact that the most famous women's football team in the history of the game was Dick Kerr Preston's ladies
That
team?
was just lunchtime kickabouts in the factory yard. That wasn't football.
That was when women in 1916 had to move into the factories to take over from the men's work. That's where women's football started, in the factories.
Yes, yeah, very commendable. These lunchtime kickabouts were all very good for their female workers and their health, but it'll quickly disappear.
Scores of ladies football teams were created all across the country.
Yeah, there was Huddersfield, Bradford, Darlington, York, Bath, Stoke,
Lincoln,
Doncaster,
Manchester, Fleetwood,
Grimsby.
Coventry, Birmingham,
But just
Newcastle.
remember that these teams were sometimes trained by members of the local men's club, whose grounds they used. And don't forget either that the Lions Corner houses, each of them had a football team of nippies, as the young waitresses were called.
These matches raised money for the wounded, the hospitals, the
The
unemployed.
widows and the orphans of the Great War.
Dick Kerr's team played in front of thousands of spectators, and they played in France and even in New York City.
And one of their players, Lily Parr, she was openly and proudly gay, and she became the most celebrated woman footballer of the 20th century.
I heard that some of them were just boys dressed up as women.
Don't you ever read the newspapers? Women's football was even more popular than the men's game.
Not in the newspapers I read.
Guess what they are? Yeah. And this is where Plymouth enters the drama, as the enthusiasm and determination of these pioneering female footballers spread here to the southwest. First to Bath with the creation of the Bath Ladies Football Club in September 1920, and then to Plymouth, here, in February 1921.
A few years previously, in 1914, Plymouth had been unified with Stonehouse and Devonport under the borough of Plymouth. And like many towns now, in the early 20th century, it was still recovering from the impact of the Great War and the deadly 1918 influenza pandemic.
Yeah, a town, not yet a city. Plymouth was a lively port where cultures and traditions from around the globe mingled.
Plymouth was the home of Lady Astor, the very first woman to sit in Parliament. And Plymouth was also the home of the Boltwoods, Jessie and Sydney, one of the most celebrated couples in 1920s Plymouth, almost as famous as Lady Astor.
Jessie was christened Jessie Eugenie Mudge in Plymouth in 1895. She was one of 7 children. Father was a dock labourer. The family lived in a tiny cottage in Pin Lane. Not the best start in life, but they survived as best they could.
Sydney George Boltwood. He was born in Hackney, London in 1886.
After leaving school, Jessie worked as a general servant for a Mrs. Boltwood, a rich lady who lived in Queensgate, in those smart new houses overlooking Victoria Park. Very posh.
Sydney's father was a chartered accountant, and Sydney was trained as a civil engineer and played an important role in the construction of London's new tram system. But his dreams were for the entertainment of the future, and he started to invest in the new electric theatres, the picture palaces, or cinemas as they would come to be called.
Jessie was a natural athlete. That's what she was told by her teachers. And by her late teens, she was a local champion long-distance swimmer, winning the Car Green to Devonport 7-mile race.
Sydney moved to Plymouth in 1911 with his widowed mother, a lady of means, where he opened the first picture palace in Devonport. He met Jessie while she was working as a housemaid for his mother. They married in 1915 and they set up home at 19 George Street. Later, Jessie became the manager of one of her husband's picture palaces, the Theatre de Luxe on Union Street, showing all the very latest films straight from London.
But by January 1921, Jessie found that managing the cinema was tiresome and unrewarding.
Right, that's it, Sydney. I've had enough. I am resigning from the De Luxe Picture Palace. That public health lot were in again complaining. I showed them Dr. Hall's certificate, but they would not accept it, and I got fined 2 guineas. All this fuss that the public health authorities are creating about ventilation in the cinema.
They're worried about the killer influenza returning, Jessie.
But the film shows are meant to be continuous. It says so on the posters. Look, non-stop performance from 2:30 p.m. We can't keep stopping to open all the doors and windows after each film.
It's the law, Jessie. People understand that we have to do it.
And then there was that ridiculous case when you were taken to court by that Royal Navy lieutenant who said that Dolly, that little minx in the Picture House kiosk, that she had overcharged him for his Cadbury's Mexican chocolates.
I apologise and refunded him his 3 pennies. I had a word with the editor of the Western Morning News, and he agreed that I was a victim of circumstance. Anyway, it got us a bit of free publicity at the end of the day.
Let's face it, Sydney, the Deluxe's success is down to you, not my management. Look how you renovated the Burlington Picture Palace in Torquay and then hired an orchestra to play for the pictures. People loved it. You have the knack, Sydney. I don't.
No, people just love good entertainment, Jessie. Having an orchestra is always a big attraction. Entertainment for the future. That's my ambition. For everyone. But I've been thinking, what about using your sporting skills and experience to make a sport of entertainment for the people?
What? My competition swimming? No, Sydney, I don't think that will work. I can't see how we would ever get hundreds turning up to watch swimming.
No, Jessie, not swimming. I was thinking about football. Ladies' football.
What? Football? Me? But I don't play football.
Don't dismiss the idea, Jessie. Ladies' football is all the rage up north. London's got going now with the Lions Corner houses. And all the money goes to local charities.
But aren't most of the teams associated with a brewery or a factory or a business?
Not anymore. They've got a team going up in Bath now.
I do like the idea that the money goes to charities.
If waitresses and factory girls can play football and draw thousands, then why not here in Plymouth?
I did hear Hilda and Agnes talking about women's football when we went to that athletics meeting in Taunton. They had met someone who's involved in that ladies' team in Bath. I suppose Hilda and Agnes might be interested. They're excellent athletes. And there's Annie. She might be interested too.
We could ask Frank to train the girls. Do you remember Frank?
Frank Zanassi?
Yes.
His father was a dance teacher, wasn't he? A very good one.
Frank's an ex-army sergeant and physical training instructor. He trains boxers at the local Cosmo Club. But here's the interesting part. Frank was telling me about the displays they put on in America before the game even starts. There's gymnastic displays, dance, movement, sequence, tableau. So the audience are entertained before the game even begins.
I suppose that would make it different to the men's game. It would be a spectacle worth watching for the skill and athleticism. That's not a bad idea, Sydney.
It's worth a try. What do you think, Jessie? You could be the captain. No more worrying about ventilation and germs. Entertainment in the open air, raising money for local charities.
But I just don't know, Sydney. I've read in all the newspapers all those jibes and stupid comments from people who think that women shouldn't be playing sport. Nasty comments about what physical exercise does to our bodies and our morals.
Come on, Jessie, you put up with worse than that at your swimming competitions, and then you'll never let that stop you. Look, Bath ladies don't seem to have any problems, and the local men's team is supporting them now.
We could play the Bath ladies team as our opening match. Come on then, Sydney, let's get the ball rolling.
Agnes, come here. Have you seen this report from the Western Morning
Oh, you mean
News?
about the fight that took place between Brixham and Plymouth Albion at the rugby match at the weekend? Diabolical. Diabolical.
No.
My uncle was at the match. He's a big fan of the Albion. And he said it was a total disgrace. Grown men fighting in public. When will they ever learn?
No, Agnes. Look. It's about Plymouth. What does it say?
You can't read, can you? No.
Oh,
On Thursday, the 24th of February 1921, the Plymouth Ladies Association Football Club was formed. Sidney Boltwood was the manager, Jessie Boltwood is the captain, with Frank Zanassi as the trainer. And they're having a meeting because they need to recruit lady athletes. Oh, that's us, yes.
Right. Jessie Boltwood playing football.
Yeah, she's the captain. Don't you think we should go and join them?
Well, it's all right for the likes of Jessie, isn't it? She's married into money. She doesn't have to bring home a wage at the end of the week like some of us.
I know, but I think we should go and see what it's all about.
I don't think I'll be able to get the time off. Dad's got his coffin fit back again, and Mum relies on me bringing home the wage.
You must come, Annie, because you're a good athlete. Remember you won that long sprint last summer?
All right, I'll come.
Promise?
I'll come. But I'll have to see if Mum can spare me, because I have to look after my little brothers in the evening, and if Mum's taken in washing, then I wouldn't be
We'll
able
just
to
go
come.
and see, okay?
Welcome everybody to the first meeting of the Plymouth Ladies Association Football Club. My name is Sidney Boltwood and I have the honour to have been made the manager of this club. Some of you may know me from the Deluxe Cinemas on Union Street. Now, I can see some of you thinking, why does Plymouth need a ladies football team? Well, let me tell you, ladies football is all the rage up north. And now the Lions Corner houses have got teams going. And we all love their afternoon teas and cakes, don't we? They created their own ladies team. And with their nippy waitresses. I believe that ladies football is going to be bigger than the men's game soon. And did you know that Dick Kerr's ladies team in Preston, well, they played the French in front of thousands of people. And all the gate money went to local charities to help those who can't get jobs, who are sick or still struggling after the Great War. A worthy cause, I'm sure you all will agree. So, now without further ado, I hand you over to my lovely wife, Jessie.
Thank you, ladies, for coming here tonight. It's most encouraging to see so many of you here. I'm sure most of you already know me from various athletics meetings. So, let me straight away introduce you to our trainer, Mr. Frank Zanassi.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Boltwood. Just a few details about myself for those who don't know me. I was actually born in Plymouth and live locally at Park Street. For many years I was a physical education trainer in the army. Now I'm a steel driller in the Royal Dockyard. But in the evenings I work at Cosmo Gymnasium.
And I'm sure that some of you ladies will remember Frank's father, Louis. He was a teacher of dance and is a well-known worker for charity. So, over the next few weeks, Mr. Zanassi, Frank, is going to instruct us ladies about the rules and regulations of association football. But most importantly, he is going to show us how to score lots of goals.
No! That's what I say if I have to stop you there, Mrs. Boltwood. Goals are one thing, yes, but I'm going to show you ladies how to play football with grace, style and beauty, poise and balance. That's the key to success.
And winning, of course, Frank. Frank has also spent time in America, so he wants to introduce displays of athletics and gymnastics before the matches.
Yes, absolutely. These displays will give you players an opportunity to warm up, encourage team spirit, as well as entertain spectators, of course. So, we'll commence training next Saturday afternoon. On the beach at Whitsun Bay.
What? On the beach? Why? What's wrong with the park?
Oh gosh, it's the sea air. It's healthy and more pleasant. You can work barefoot on the beach. There's plenty of space for javelin practice and shot put. Not to speak of hurdling and leapfrog. It makes training fun, not a chore.
And all this will come in very handy, ladies, when we play France in May.
We play France? May? But we haven't even started yet.
We are scheduled to meet Bath ladies in 3 weeks. And I've already written to Madame Millia, a great campaigner for ladies football in France, to arrange a match with the Femina Club. Her team of French ladies will be in England in May because they are playing Dick Kerr in Preston. Frank's approach to training will fit in nicely as Madame Millia describes her players as beautiful Grecian dancers.
Yes, that's all very well, Mrs. Boltwood, but that only gives us 12 weeks. It's not enough time, I'm afraid.
It'll have to be, Frank. The fixture's already booked. And I'll be making a return match in Paris for later this year.
Oh, Agnes, is Jessie talking about us going
Yes,
to
she
France, to Paris?
Yes.
Oh.
That sounds like quite an adventure, don't you think, Annie? As long as I can get the time off school.
Oh, no, my mum won't let me go. She says the French are peculiar.
No. The French are a very cultured nation, Annie. Honestly, I taught my class about French impressionists last year.
Anyway, I don't have the money to get to Whitsunday for training, let alone get to Paris.
No, I will pay for that, honestly. You can afford it, we'll go together.
And what's throwing the javelin and doing leapfrog got to do with football?
Who knows, but Mr. Sanassi must know. He knows what he's doing. Football's probably much the same as hockey, I suppose, except without the sticks.
And why can't we use the local park? I can walk there. I don't like water. I can't swim.
You won't have to swim, Annie, okay? Personally, I'm looking forward to this. I'm used to this with athletics, and my brother plays football for his local team. He loves it.
And then did Jessie say we had to be like Grecian dancers, like the French?
She did.
Oh,
You better tell your mum that you're going to be a Grecian dancer,
oh no.
like Isadora Duncan.
Oh, no. Mum won't like that. Isadora Duncan's dances are, suggestive. No.
Nothing venture, nothing gay. That's what I tell my girls at school.
Agnes, is Jessie serious about us going to France? Because I've got nothing to wear.
For goodness sake.
So the ladies' team started their training at regime in April 1921 under my guidance. Hilda Ford soon proved more than capable as goalkeeper, and Agnes Opie, well-known athlete and local school teacher, she was a tenacious tackler. Annie Bounty was an outstanding athlete too, a natural, but found it difficult to attend all training sessions because of her job and family duties. But then the letters about women playing football started to pour into the Western Morning News on a daily basis, and we hadn't even played a game at that point.
To the editor of the Western Morning News, Tuesday 12th of April 1921. Dear Sir, physiologically women are not meant for violent exercise, and they will not flout nature with impunity, but sooner or later they will pay bitterly, both racially and individually, for their folly in aping men.
Dear sir, what a horrible sight! How vulgar they look. All virtuous women, even suffragists, feel that their sex is deplorably degraded by these present-day pretensions.
Sir, I feel I must protest. I think the girls who play football are every bit as much ladies as those who swim, row, play hockey or tennis. And in spite of the annoyance it may cause to a few narrow-minded people, ladies' football is an established fact. It's come to stay. There are scores of clubs in England already, and numbers are increasing daily.
Oh, what rubbish. Sir, I'm surprised that more mothers have not spoken out on this question. Is there not a great physical danger for their girls playing a game of this kind? From a moral standpoint, it's time to cry halt to this ridiculous venture. There can be no doubt that lady footballers are decidedly destroying the sanctity of womanhood.
Sir, I must object to the totally offensive nature of the outfit worn by these lady footballers.
Sir, let me point out that outfit compares very favourably with the outfit worn by lady competitors taking part in other kinds of sport.
Oh, sir, I find it difficult to believe that ladies can engage in such a game for the enjoyment of the hobbledehoys who loaf around the touchline, cigarette in mouth, making scoffing remarks as it's well known they do. This only shows the utter and hopeless vulgarity of these so-called ladies.
Sir, I must insist that ladies footballers have a very, very bad moral effect upon the players.
Here.
Sir, to insinuate that an association of football or any other sport is likely to have a bad moral effect on women is a libel on the sex. I go as far as to say the most moral and upright women in the country could be found on the field of sport.
Sir, don't know why you listen to that rubbish. I can't believe that respectable ladies can partake in undignified and robust tactics as a dotted on a field of sport.
So, sorry, it's female footballers.
In my opinion, somebody who's kept their body fit and healthy is sorry.
Enough! The subject of ladies' football has become a very thorny subject over these last few weeks, and as editor of the Western Morning News, I intend to terminate all further correspondence on the matter. I'll hear no more of it.
Ignore them. That's what I say. Ignore them. Take no notice of all the stuff and nonsense in the papers. That's my advice, ladies. What we're creating in Plymouth here is something artistic and beautiful. And we're part of a nationwide movement. Mr. Boltwood says there's over 50 ladies' football clubs up and down England, drawing huge crowds, proving women can play football just as well as men.
But it's all over the Western Morning News, Frank. Every day there seems to be a letter to the editor saying how we women are a repulsive sight and we don't deserve to be called ladies.
And they're always commenting on what we're wearing, not on the football and our skills and the way we're playing.
Why? If they think that physical exercise is endangering the future of this country, then perhaps we should also stop cycling, rowing, hockey, and even tennis.
Yeah, and having babies. That's the biggest danger of all. My nan nearly died when she had her seventh.
That's very true, Annie. Endless childbearing is indeed something men could learn to protect us from, but not from healthy outdoor exercise.
Agnes, my dad said that no right-minded member of the Royal Navy would ever marry a lady footballer.
Well, what I say is remember the old adage about cooking a hare.
Huh?
First, catch your hare. Come on, ladies, it's not all negative. Miss Jackson from Plymouth came to your defence. She said many of these critics were just snobs and knew nothing about the game.
That's true. I like the letter from the professor who said that perceived threat of ladies' football to the sanctity of English womanhood was a mote they should remove from their own eyes. To the pure, all things are pure.
Right.
I'm going to use that quotation at school during religious education lessons.
Yes, but my mum says, come over here today. My mum says that lady footballers end up with flat bosoms and hard muscles.
It's probably all made up, all balderdash, just to frighten us. There's nothing wrong with exercise. Men's football's about brute strength and aggression, but we're about skill and artistry and grace, aren't we,
Oh,
Frank?
absolutely, yes. You can't give up, ladies. Personally, I'd sooner depend on the feminine athletic section of our community as mothers of future generations than any of the anemic women with radiant cheeks but bought at the chemist instead of free through fresh air and exercise.
But don't many men prefer those silk stockings and white linen?
Well, I don't. I'm putting my money on the athletic type every time. If you were with Dick Kerr ladies team in Preston, I tell you what, their manager would have you boxing and horse riding bareback.
Bareback? No saddle?
Yeah, think of the future, ladies. Your daughters, your granddaughters. You're doing this for all the girls that follow. I'm telling you, what you're doing is another strike for female emancipation.
Well, if you put it like that, come on.
Yes.
Come on, let's go. We're playing Bath on the 29th. And Annie, don't say you don't know if you can get the time off. You are coming with us. Right now.
Right now.
So, you join us here at Home Park on Saturday 21st of May 1921 to see Plymouth ladies, who recently beat Bath ladies 2-0 in Taunton in front of a crowd of 12,000. Thank you. And they're taking on a team of French ladies from Paris. Despite the fact that the Plymouth team have only had 12 weeks to train for this match, I feel sure they will put on a splendid display. Prior to the match, Mr. Frank Zanazi, their trainer, told me,
Actually, I'm still uncertain about our readiness to take on this illustrious French team.
but Jessie Boltwood, the Plymouth captain, was more confident.
I am convinced that our girls will excel themselves.
Plymouth's home park stadium has only one wooden grandstand with the other three sides of the pitch just earth banked up, but more than 11,000 spectators. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Not while I'm speaking, thank you. 11,000 spectators crammed into the ground for the match with the French. In the traditional style, the game was kicked off by local celebrity Lady Kinloch Cook, the Vice President, and under the careful eye of referee Mr. F. Reeves. Plymouth gave a good display of their fitness and their determination. But the visitors scored after just 10 minutes, after a dazzling attack down the wing by the French captain. Plymouth ladies rallied after their early shot. Anyway, they rallied after their the shot and demonstrated their outstanding skills in every area of the pitch with excellent footwork from Mrs. Jessie Boltwood in attack and Miss Hilda Ford in goal. The home team battled bravely throughout the 90 minutes, but when the final whistle blew, Plymouth ladies lost 1-0 to France. No doubt they will have learned a great deal from their opponents. But the one player who certainly took the eye of everybody in the ground that day was Miss Frances Sinazi, who restarted the game after the interval. She is the local team's mascot and the daughter of Mr. Frank Sinazi, the team's trainer. We look forward to reporting the progress of this excellent group of ladies who have shown any detractors that they are capable of producing outstanding display of footballing skills.
Well played, ladies. I must say, I was pleasantly surprised. You achieved a much higher standard than we could have hoped for in such a short time. We got a great crowd as well.
Let's face it, the French team were much better than us.
Yes, they did deserve that 1-goal win, I suppose. But they were so polite and friendly, weren't they? And they played so beautifully. And a few of them could speak English, not like what my ma said at all.
Girls, you've got to remember that we've only had 12 weeks training. This is only our second competitive match. But in time, we will be as good as that French team.
There was some miss-kicking, but that was probably due to the very hard ground.
And there was undoubtedly some superb individual work, but we do need to master the art of combined play. You see, it is the teamwork that counts.
Teamwork. That's what the French had. Frank's right. They were more businesslike, but a bit more quicker and polished. But we were lucky to have Frank's training tactics. I think we need to focus on training now before...
Thank you, Sydney. I'm the captain. If you haven't got anything positive to say, then keep your thoughts to yourself.
Talking of which, how positive the French were. Did you see how their captain, Mademoiselle Blackmore, dribbled the ball down the left wing, centred it across goal, and though Hilda managed to knock it down, Mademoiselle Lelors was on hand to force the ball into the net.
Teamwork!
Yes, that's what I like the idea of teamwork. That's what will help us score goals. We can pass the ball around very nicely at times, but then we don't work together at the end, do we?
No, exactly, Annie. You and Agnes were excellent, though. Jessie held the forwards together, and you backs were sound. Hilda did great work too, not letting in any more goals. But let's face it, the French had the better teamwork.
That's enough about teamwork, Frank. Thank you. Let's just remember that this French team did beat the famous, unbeatable Dick Kerr team. So, I think that 1-0 is an excellent result. Frank, your little daughter, she has such a good kick on her, doesn't she? We could certainly do with her in the team.
She's not our team mascot for nothing, is she?
And you know, we had a crowd of 11,000 this afternoon. Who would have thought that a few weeks ago?
We must have raised an awful lot for charities then.
Well, it hasn't been counted yet, but they do say they are delighted.
And the good news is, Femina have invited us to go over to France in the autumn and play a return match in Paris.
Oh, Paris! Oh, you'll enjoy yourselves in Paris, girls. What a nightlife they have. Dancing, eating out, drinking.
Sydney, we're going there to play a competitive game of football, not for the nightlife.
Yeah, I'll tell you why we're going. We're going to Paris to reap revenge.
Yes.
Practice, practice, practice. That's what we need now. Training throughout this coming summer, and then in the new season, you'll see how much your ability has improved to help each other maximise those opportunities. If you each work not for yourself, but for the other 10 players.
Really, Frank? Can we not prioritise goal scoring first?
It's time for a photo, ladies. Both teams together.
Oh.
Plymouth and France. The photo will be in the Western Morning News. I know people in the editor personally. And I'm sure they'll give us a great write-up.
The summer of 1921 brought its own highs and lows.
In late May, there was another bout of coughs and colds which raised the fear of the killer influenza returning again.
But there were always plenty of patented medicines available to combat any ailment.
Hall's tonic wine! You cannot send a finer gift to your wounded or sick friend than a bottle of Hall's tonic wine.
If you can afford the 6 shillings a bottle when your weekly wage as a domestic help is 8 shillings.
June also brought drought and some very worried farmers, but the heat brought visitors and the glamour and excitement of mixed bathing at Devil's Point.
On Saturday 16th of July, Plymouth Harriers held an athletics open day at Home Park, organised by Mr Frank Zanazzi to raise money for George Street Ambulance Brigade.
There were racing pigeons and a 1-mile walking race.
But there was a cycling competition. But being Plymouth, the track was so wet that a number of competitors fell off.
The entertainment was provided by the Musicians' Union Band.
There was a tug of war between Plymouth Police and Devonport Dockyard, which the police won easily.
But the question on many people's lips throughout that summer was,
Who's in the ladies' football team to play France in November?
Right, ladies, that's enough for this evening. You can have tomorrow evening off, okay? No training session. But please be back here on Friday for heading practice.
Oh, no.
And we do need to discuss team tactics.
How is the heading practice going, Frank? I have heard that some of the girls are reluctant.
We're working on it, Mrs. Boltwood. They're still nervous, but I'm using a technique that Coventry use. They ask the girls to stand in a circle and get them to head the ball to each other.
Excellent, Frank, but don't waste too much time on it. It's scoring goals that we need to concentrate on. We'll beat those French ladies when we next meet them. Don't you think, Frank?
I'm sure we will, but there is just one thing, Mrs. Boltwood. A couple of young ladies turned up for training last evening, Iris and Polly. I've never seen them before. They said you told them to join us.
Oh, yes. I've been meaning to tell you all about them, Frank. How did they get on?
Well, they were good, obviously fine athletes.
Excellent. Iris is a particularly strong runner. I met her at various competitions last year. Polly comes highly recommended.
Yes, but they didn't seem to know any of the other ladies, though. Are they local girls?
No. But they are resident in Plymouth now, Frank. I trust the other ladies made the new girls feel welcome.
Well, there were a few comments made, nothing too untoward.
Good. I want them to feel a part of this team as quickly as possible.
Yes, it's just that Iris told me she lived near Southampton.
She did. That's right. But she lives in Octagon Street now. And she's an usherette at the Theatre de Luxe Picture Palace. Is that a problem, Frank?
Actually, yes. If you're going to play for Plymouth, shouldn't you be born in or near the town? I think that's what many of the ladies in the present team think.
I don't remember saying anything like that, Frank. Iris and Polly are talented athletes who are keen to play football, and in particular to play football in the Plymouth ladies team. Sydney and I have just made it possible for them, that's all. They can only make our team stronger. We're doing nothing wrong.
It's just that it seems wrong to me, Mrs. Boltwood. If they're not from Plymouth, they shouldn't be in the team. As simple as that. It seems like you and your husband have lured them here with the prospect of job and accommodation, and I'm telling you, it'll cause resentment among some of the ladies.
Well, I trust that you will explain the situation to them. They need to think what's best for our team.
I'll tell you what they think. Why have Iris and Polly been found accommodation and paid money to come here and take their places?
It's not like that, Frank.
Well, we're an amateur team, Mrs. Boltwood. These young ladies play the game because they love football. It's not for the money.
We can't keep money out of the
But
game,
all the money
Frank.
we make goes to charity.
As far as we are concerned, nothing has changed. We're working for the success of the team. Strengthening the team by adding new recruits is what all the ladies' clubs are doing.
I just don't agree, I'm afraid. I think we're going to regret this, Mrs. Boltwood. May I ask what Mr. Boltwood's opinion is? Because he didn't seem to agree with your proposal to call the team going to France international. Surely we want to represent Plymouth.
Leave all that to me, Frank. You stick to the training. You are doing a very good job of that.
The new football season started on Saturday the 27th of August. Our ladies team took Charabanc on Saturday to play our first match of the season against the Cornish ladies at Newquay. And we won 2-0.
We all thought that Mrs. Boltwood would use this match to announce who had been selected for the French game. But there was no news of the team.
The next game against Cornwall at St Austell ended in the same score. Hilda was in goal again, but she had so little to do she might as well have stayed at home.
Still, we got good crowds, over 3,000.
But the pressing question was still, who is going to be picked for the international team to go to France?
Oh, Agnes, come here.
The Western Morning News finally published my Plymouth International Ladies team on the 8th of October. The 11 players selected to play in Paris and Le Havre will sail from Southampton accompanied by 2 reserves and Mr. S.G. Boltwood and several supporters.
The British ambassador to France will be present at the match.
The group will return to Plymouth on the evening of the 1st of November.
And the team will be presented to the French president and his wife.
The following have been selected to join the tour. J. Boltwood, captain. H. Ford. L. Duncan. L. Greenwood. A. O'Keefe. A. Bounty.
Mrs. Boltwood, I can't understand why you call your team Plymouth ladies when you brought in girls from Cardiff, Swansea and Southampton to go to France. My daughter has been with this club since its formation last February, and she's been overlooked yet again to give priority to these infiltrators to the team. Do you think that's fair to the Plymouth girls who train conscientiously all year round and remain loyal to the club?
The selection has been carried out based purely on merit, hasn't it, Jessie? I can assure you
Don't
of that.
you give me that. Everybody knows what you're doing.
What are you implying?
You bribed these girls to come and live in Plymouth, find them somewhere to live and give them jobs at your picture palaces, selling programmes and chocolate, and directly they are in the team, instead of proper local girls like my daughter.
There's no bribery involved in all this, is there, Jessie?
Then, to make matters worse, you try to pull the wool over our eyes at their local lady because they works here. These infiltrators have no proper connection with our town. It would be far better for the future of ladies football if you included only bona fide natives of Plymouth in your team. And where's the money coming from to keep these young ladies here for 2 weeks before they sail to France? It's totally wrong.
I warned you, Mrs. Boltwood, this might happen. I agree with that gentleman. The Plymouth team should be for girls from the town and local area. And why have you decided to change the team's name? Since when was it finalised to call the Plymouth Ladies International? Nobody bothered to ask me.
It's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it, Frank? Sounds more professional.
But we're not professional, we're amateurs. These ladies play for the love of the game and raise money for local charities in these times of dire poverty and unemployment.
We need to move with the times, Frank. There's nothing wrong with the name as long as Plymouth is still there. Femina ladies from other towns, not just Paris, are called up. And perhaps we need to do this occasionally. If we're going to be playing all across Europe.
But excuse me, why do we need to play games in Europe anyway? Shouldn't we be building the game here first in Plymouth, playing local teams, Exeter, Truro, Bath, Southampton? Before we start going off to Europe, we need to create a women's football league here, with regular fixtures arranged weekly. And then we can start to be building team spirit.
And that is why I have not included you in this French tour, Frank. You would have been a negative influence.
Jessie, I do think the girls would appreciate Frank being on hand for advice about tactics and motivation and
Thank you, Sydney. I'm the captain and I'm in charge of this team. And my Plymouth International ladies team is going to France and Italy and Spain, whatever you may think, Frank.
There will now be a short interval so that you can all get a beverage of your choice.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please, before we start the second half? I would just like to gently return to something that we started earlier on, in case there were any misconceptions. I'm sure many of you will agree that women cannot play football. There are lots of things that little darlings can do, but football is definitely not one of them.
Women's has never been just about something. It's always been particularly when you look at it in the context of a late 19th and early 20th century struggle for women's rights.
Football was part of the women's struggle to be free of imprisoning corsets and hobbling skirts.
To free ourselves from the expectation that a woman should be pale, still, and produce plenty of babies to service the British Empire. After all, ladies, any exercise beyond a little gentle lawn tennis or croquet could damage your reproductive faculties and of course would be terribly degrading.
Oh, I might overexcite you, ladies. And horror of horrors, give you dangerous ideas.
October 1921 was a very busy month. After Mrs. Boltwood had chosen her international team to go to France, there was still a large group of enthusiastic ladies left who wanted to carry on training and playing matches against other local sides.
Yes. So I created a second team. I named them the Plymouth District Amateur Ladies Athletic and Football Club.
Well, a bit of a mouthful.
Well, you might say so, but I felt it important to stress we're a local amateur group, raising money for local charities to distinguish us from the Plymouth International team.
Of course, Mrs. Boltwood's international team stole most of the headlines, especially on the return from France. A large crowd of journalists, friends and family gathered here at North Road Station on the 1st of November to welcome the Plymouth International Ladies team back from their 4-day tour of France. They did remarkably well to draw with a French team selected from all the Parisian and French clubs. Mrs. Boltwood. Mrs. Boltwood, hello Mrs. Boltwood. Western Morning News here. How did the Paris trip go, Mrs. Boltwood?
We had the time of our lives. We were given such a magnificent reception, both in Paris and Le Havre.
All sorts of entertainment was laid on for us. I couldn't believe my eyes. Paris is such a beautiful city. All those buildings and cafes. It's totally changed my outlook on life.
We were shown all the sights of Paris, the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, the Palace of Versailles. I could go on.
And the French team, they were so friendly.
But we had to be strict with ourselves, didn't we? Not be too friendly on the field. Yes.
So, Mrs. Boltwood, a very successful trip then.
We were really
The French newspapers said we deserved to win.
Yes.
We outclassed that French team, didn't we, on every aspect of the pitch.
You would have been so proud of us, Frank. You should have seen Agnes. She was racing down the side and she totally outprayed that French captain, didn't you, Agnes?
And we kept the ball down the our end so much that Hilda, our goalkeeper, nearly fell asleep. She had nothing to do and she didn't have a single shot to stop in the first half.
And Jessie, Mrs. Boltwood, she was amazing. Yes, on the right wing, and the crowd were cheering, and it's the best time of my life ever. But I lost my bonnet when we were crossing the channel.
And Polly hit the goalpost twice, and so did Jessie, actually.
If it hadn't been for the athleticism of that French goalkeeper, we would have won by several goals.
Yes, I think, yeah.
And Jessie plans to have more overseas games, tours to Italy and Spain.
Yes, and if you'd been there, Frank, if you'd been there, you would have seen that we put everything in practice that you taught us.
And at the end, we had a banquet at a posh restaurant, and each one of us was presented with an international medal by the French Fédération.
And I didn't think I'd like their food, because you hear so many stories about what they eat over there, but it was it was très bon.
So, Mrs. Boltwood, how did the match in Le Havre go?
Well, I think that the match that we played in Le Havre was one of the most competitive games that either team had ever played. And that's why I've invited them back next April, when we will beat them.
But when can we get back training with Frank? Because I missed that on Whitsunday, and we need help, don't we, with our teamwork?
Well, I'm sure Frank will be able to do the occasional session with you all, and he has suggested a few things that we need to be learning. So,
Well, Sydney,
and also he
it is
suggests
not going to be possible. Mr. Zanassi has created his own team now. Plymouth and District, Ladies, Amateur Athletic, and Football Club, which he will be training. But I will remain as the captain of the international team, and I will conduct their training.
Well, I've heard that Frank has suggested that the two teams play each other, for charity, which I think is an excellent idea.
Mr. Zanazzi, do you have any comments for our readers on this latest development?
Frank, is that true? Are you no longer in charge of training?
Well, as Mrs. Boltwood says, she'll be leading the international team, but I'll be training the amateur team. After all, Plymouth's big enough to boast 2 ladies football teams now. I'm sure our paths will cross again sometime.
Oh, Frank, I do hope so. I'll miss your training sessions. You taught us all about the importance of working together, teamwork.
Well,
Yes.
but as I was saying earlier, you know, I'm sure Frank will be available on certain occasions.
If time allows, Sydney.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a team photograph over here?
Oh, yes.
Yes, what a good idea.
Yes, lovely ladies, yes.
Excuse me, Mrs. Baldwood, can we just discuss a few minutes, please? There's a couple of things we do need to discuss urgently. It's getting desperate. You know, I think the Football Association is looking for ways to shut down women's football.
Why would the FA want to do that? Women's football is taking off all over the country. We're playing to packed grounds.
Yes, I think perhaps they see you as a threat, outshining the men.
And we're making hundreds of pounds for local charities.
Yes, but that's one of the problems, Sydney. The Football Association is looking for evidence against the ladies' clubs in terms of misappropriation of money collected.
Where's their evidence for that, Frank?
Well, recently they've taken Dick Kerr-Preston ladies' team to task about their finances. The FA made it clear they disapprove of their manager poaching players, bribing them with jobs and accommodation, and then paying the girls 10 shillings a match. And now they're asking questions about Plymouth's match against Cornwall at Red Ruth, demanding to know what happened to the money raised.
But we don't have anything to do with collecting of money. We leave all that to the individual
I know.
charity.
Now they want to know even more details. They've sent out instructions that in future we must handle all the money and submit all receipts to the FA.
We simply can't do that. It would just be too time-consuming.
But I do think Frank's right. We have to be more careful, Jessie. This isn't some little manager desperate to run a few more picture houses against us, whom you can take to court. This is the Football Association. They're tough with money and power. You know, I was at school with a few of them. We can't afford to look as if we are misappropriating charity funds.
Red Ruth got it wrong. We never put in writing that we would give them all the gate money. We simply said that we would raise money for their unemployed minors.
Yes, but now the Football Association is creating trouble about the match your team played at Winchester against Seaton.
The match we played last week when we were en route to France. What's wrong with that? We won 9-0.
That's as maybe, but the FA have sent both us and Winchester official reprimands.
Why? What was wrong with that?
Because neither Plymouth nor Winchester obtained prior permission from the FA to use the Winchester ground.
I thought you had got Winchester to clear it with the FA, Jessie.
This is bureaucracy gone mad. I haven't the time for this. It reminds me of that nonsense with the Deluxe Picture Palace. It's ridiculous.
Sydney, I've got to say, they say that permission to use an association football league ground must be obtained beforehand without fail.
Yes, but to do all this, Frank, we would have to be better organised in some sort of league, not this ad hoc situation we have at the moment. After all, we don't have the funds or the clerical assistants to do this. We all do this for nothing. But, you know, it made me think. I think the FA could be trying to get rid of the women's game.
The FA ban, was it unexpected? Not really. The hints have been there all year. The FA probably felt that it had to turn a blind eye to raising money for the war effort. But now, several years after the war had finished, the choice of charities was becoming a bit politically sensitive. These choices might be interpreted as a criticism of government policy, of the patriarchal world order, raising money for the unemployed, for strikers, for the poverty-stricken Cornish miners. That was becoming decidedly political, and the sums being raised were enormous.
Could this be the start of a revolution, like the Bolsheviks in Russia?
Or at least an embarrassment for the politicians.
So, the Football Association met in London on December the 4th, and they announced the ban the next day.
I've just been informed by a reporter from the Western Morning News that we've been banned from using FA grounds. Do you know anything about this, Sydney?
Well, I only know what Mr. Jack, the manager of Plymouth Argyle, told me. He told me that Home Park wouldn't be available for our match on December 17th because it's being used by Plymouth schoolboys.
That's ridiculous. Our match is for charity, for the Royal Albert Memorial Hospital. There is no way that a group of schoolboys is going to raise the kind of sums that our matches produce. This is definitely going to hurt our local charities.
What exactly does the FA announcement say, Sydney?
It says...
Complaints have been made about women being allowed to play football. The FA feel impelled to express their strong opinion that the game of football is quite unsuitable for females and should not be encouraged. Quite right too.
What? Unsuitable for females? What absolute nonsense! And what complaints have there been? I haven't heard any complaints. Do they say exactly who has complained at all, Sydney?
Well, they don't specify who has complained.
Oh, no?
But they do go on to say complaints have been made as to the conditions under which some of the matches have been arranged and played, and the misappropriation of receipts to other than charities.
Oh, do you know, that's just malicious.
I know.
After all, many of our girls have only been covered for lost work hours. Some of them do a full shift, they cycle to the ground, play the match, and then they cycle back for the next shift. Heaven's sake.
The FA believes that an excessive proportion of receipts are absorbed in expenses and an inadequate percentage given to charitable projects.
So, this august masculine committee has declared that the game is unsuitable for women, and it deplores the fact that some of the huge gate money has gone in expenses. What hypocrisy!
For these reasons, the FA requests the clubs of the Football Association to refuse the use of their grounds for such matches.
So, they take the grounds away from us, leave us no space to train or play, and then accuse us of misappropriation of the funds. This should rid us of those bullshit women and this unsightly spectacle. Next thing we know, these women might be demanding equal pay and equal rights and power over their own bodies. And God forbid, they might even be setting up home with each other. That's what they're afraid of.
I think I know what they're afraid of. They're worried that we're taking attention away from the men's game because, in their misguided opinion, football is purely a man's game.
Well, also, the FA has got all their chums to write to the nationals.
Yes.
And they're pressed to support their announcements, but, you know, they've got all these doctors now that are saying this and saying that every day in the paper. They're offering proof about how the game physically and mentally is ruining the women's nation.
Well then, I'm going to write directly to the newspapers and tell them what I think of their actions. The controlling body of the FA is at least 100 years behind the times, and their action is purely sex prejudiced. Not one of our girls have felt any ill effects from their participating in the games, and in fact, they have enjoyed better health. Those who are swimmers and play hockey declare without hesitation that it is nothing like the fatigue or nearly as dangerous as hockey. Despite this decision of the FA, we in Plymouth are determined to continue to play football, and we shall get our own grounds. If at all possible, we shall continue to engage in weekly matches, and if we can't use the FA pitches, then we will find somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perhaps the rugby grounds, Frank. You know, they let us use them. I have several acquaintances I could approach.
I don't think they will, Sydney. The pitches aren't marked out for football. They'll have rugby posts.
If not, then we will use the local parks, or we'll play on farmers' fields. We will continue to play football, whatever they think. I've already approached the French for a return match in April, and I'm writing to the Italians too, to organise matches with them. No toffs in suits are going to tell me what I can and can't do.
No, I agree. I agree. We can't just give up. There's 150 clubs now. Surely, with these numbers, we can fight this if we work together and create a national association.
Oh, do we really want to be involved with a national association with all their petty rules and regulations?
Well, there's a meeting in a few days' time in Liverpool, Mrs. Bolwood, to create a national ladies football association. About 30 teams signed up already, and they're planning to organise a Challenge Cup competition. It's a ladies' version of the FA Cup. How about that then?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it, Jesse?
Yeah, they're going to create a national register of players who must live within a 20-mile radius of their club, and establish a league system with regular organised fixtures.
There, Jesse, that's the answer. Let's all go as one united Plymouth team again.
Yeah.
Think what we could do if we pool our resources and facilities.
Absolutely. I want Plymouth to be a part of this organisation, Mrs. Boltwood. This must be the future of women's football.
Not for me, Sydney. It's just more bureaucracy and being told what to do. I'm not content like Frank is to play games with just local teams. Anyway, the games against France are already booked. 3 matches in April, and I'm not altering them for anybody.
Right, what can I say? Good luck with the association, anyway.
Thanks.
I think it could be the way forward. Let me know if you need any help. I do know a few people, you know, supportive of the women's game.
Yeah.
Good luck, Frank.
Thanks for your support, sir.
Good luck. There wasn't much contact between Jesse and Frank over the next few months. They went their separate ways. Jesse was determined to play the French again and beat them this time. Frank's team, meanwhile, were playing in the first round of the Ladies' Challenge Cup against Marizaya. But the 3 long-awaited matches against the French Femina in 1922 ended very badly.
Sydney, did you hear what that French captain said? She was accusing us of violent conduct on the field of play. She said that we were ill-disciplined and used unfair tactics, as if.
Well, you must admit it did get a bit unruly out there, Jessie.
And whose fault was that, Sydney? Certainly not my girls.
No, but it didn't help that you lost your temper, Mrs. Boltwood.
And did you see what those French women were doing, Sydney? Pushing my girls off the ball, kicking us and knocking us to the ground.
But from what I saw, Mrs. Boltwood, the Female ladies were just trying to defend themselves. Your Plymouth ladies seem to have forgotten most of the footballing skills I taught them.
If you're only here to gloat, Mr. Zanassi, I suggest that you should leave at once. I'm writing to the newspapers about these disgusting allegations. Go back to your precious amateur ladies.
Oh, well, if you do write to the newspapers, I've got one suggestion. Can you make it clear that this debacle has nothing to do with my ladies' team? Personally, I'd be ashamed to be associated with such a spectacle. There were more fisticuffs than football at times, Mrs. Boltwood.
That's a bit harsh, Frank.
Thank you very much for your observations, Mr. Zanassi. I'm in charge of the international team. Leave them to me.
Well, I'd like to remind you...
You concern yourself with your amateur
I'd like
team.
to remind you, Mrs. Boltwood, that my amateur team has just won their first round cup match against Mount Zion, and now we're in the second round. Why? Because we can and do play good football, unlike the spectacle we just witnessed.
There wasn't much contact between Jessie and Frank, as you might imagine. Anyway, during the following months, nothing seemed to work out for either of them, Jessie or Frank. Jessie's plans for a European tour evaporated as she could find nowhere to train, and Frank was unable to complete his second round fixture.
I've had enough, Sydney. This is as bad as that fiasco with the Deluxe. It's just too difficult to arrange fixtures, and despite your contacts, we can't find grounds big enough to draw the crowds that would make it worthwhile.
Well, Jessie, I always thought that we should have worked with Frank and joined the Ladies' Association. We're too isolated here in the Southwest to quarrel with each other.
You just don't understand, do you, Sydney? The FA has defeated us all. It's all falling apart. Clubs just can't survive unless they are in the North or in the Midlands. But even then, the Ladies' Association final between Stoke and Doncaster was a farce, with only a handful in the crowd. Even the Dick Kerr team is struggling. So, we never stood a chance.
But think of what we have achieved.
As for us girls, we set out on our different paths. I decided not to return for the new football season in September, especially after that disgusting French match. It was so complicated trying to cope with the two different approaches, so I went back to athletics. And then out of the blue, a few weeks later in November, I bumped into Annie outside Goodbody's, literally, where Hilda works, and I was on my way to look at the sales in Pophams.
Agnes!
Hello!
How are you? Have you recovered?
I'm fine, thanks.
Well, I'm reading the newspapers about your injury during the summer. It was in the national press. I remember seeing the headline, Plymouth lady footballer goes missing. It gave me a proper turn when I realised it was you. My mum said it was all that heading practice we had to
So
do.
embarrassing. No, it was nothing to do with that. I was going to spend my holidays with my mother, who lives in Perrinwell. Went into school. I think I struck my head on the desk while picking up a pen, and I'd been wandering around Plymouth, concussed,
Oh, thank goodness.
not knowing what I was doing. But I'm fine now. Listen, are you still playing football? No, I haven't seen you since France, that infamous tour.
Yes, I was so ashamed of what went on in those French matches. I think we'd lost all the skill and grace that Frank had taught us. But Jessie was delighted that we actually managed to beat the French.
Yeah, she had to win. She had to win. She had plans to play more matches in France and Italy this autumn, But nothing came of it, you know.
A few of us went to see Frank's cup match
Did you?
against Marazion. It was really good to see his style of football still being played, despite the fact that they had to use this new regulation ball, and it's light and it was really windy.
So funny.
Oh yes, ball was going everywhere.
I still think back to that trip to Paris.
Oh, those were the best days of my life.
I know they were. I heard that Jessie and Sydney are shutting all their picture palaces and leaving Plymouth. It is sad how that FA ban affected us all. It was such a vindictive thing to do.
Horrible.
And those men should be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely right there, Agnes. But I couldn't afford to keep playing because I couldn't afford to keep losing work. Not on the wages that Popham pay me, and tailoring's a lousy job, and I hate it. But Dad's passed on, and Mum needs my wage, so I have to keep working.
Oh,
I'm all she's got now.
Yeah, have you heard that Hilda's planning to get married next year? They haven't set a date, but guess what they're going to do? They're emigrating to Canada.
Canada?
To Canada.
How can Hilda do it? Where does she find the courage? I couldn't do that, but I wouldn't have the money anyway. I don't think I'd ever leave Plymouth. I'm going to build a better life for myself here. I'm not quite sure what yet, Agnes.
Good for you.
I want to help other people. People that are not, you know, as well off as myself. I don't want to end up like my nan.
Don't underestimate what you can do. I don't think I'll ever leave here either. I love my teaching far too much. Come on then, let's go to Popham's.
Yes.
They've got a sale on.
Right.
And I've got to buy a new winter coat, otherwise I'll end up in Didworthy Sanatorium.
And I might be able to get you a discount. Who knows?
Great.
See you there.
I'll see you there.
Later that year, Jessie took part in the Cargreen to Devonport swimming race again, hoping to win one more time. When she came in second, I decided it was time to leave Plymouth. So in November of that year, 1922, I sold my picture palaces and took Jessie on a very long holiday. Eventually, we settled for a while in Leatherhead, and I ran a few picture houses, but eventually we returned to Devon, Paynton in fact.
And it was about that time that we heard that Frank had also left Plymouth. And he left on the 19th of October 1928 and moved to America to take up a post as Director of Physical Culture in a San Francisco high school.
His parting comments to Plymouth before he joined the ship for New York were very interesting, to say the least.
Plymouth is the slowest and most backward town in the world. You do nothing here to encourage people to live in the open air and lead healthy lives. It's a crying shame that in a town of this size there's no stadium and no covered swimming baths. Plymouth lacks imagination. There's no inspired leadership, and there's no backing up of those who attempt to lead. What I say is just a policy of drift and drift to any old place. And if the men won't do it, let's give the women a chance.
And as for us women, well, Annie never married, but she enjoyed being part of Plymouth's civic life. She became involved with the Racks during the last war, and she took part in their national reunion here in Plymouth in 1982. In her 90s, she attended the anniversary of the Ladies' Auxiliary Service at St Paul's Cathedral in London. That was one of her proudest moments, apart from playing football for Plymouth ladies. Annie died here in Plymouth in 1997.
Agnes didn't marry either. If she had, she would have had to give up her beloved teaching. but she continued with her athletics for many years, living with her sister in St Stephen's. Agnes died in 1985.
In 1923, Hilda Ford married Bertrand Vodden, and in 1928 they sailed to Quebec from Southampton. Later, they retired to Florida, where they both died during the 1980s.
Frank Sinatra died in San Francisco in 1953.
And Jessie died in Torquay in 1954.
Sydney, who later remarried, died in Bournemouth in 1967.
So, you think it's all over?
No! It's only just begun.
The achievements of these pioneering Plymouth girls and women, their enthusiasm for the game and their bravery were not in vain. A century later, their legacy lives on.
The Football Association ban was eventually lifted in 1970, 50 years later, triggered by the new legislation on gender equality and the recently created new Women's Football Association.
Finally, women could have access to FA grounds and their referees.
And so our women footballers were now tolerated, but still not equal, and largely ignored by the media.
It was impossible for women to seek a career in football unless they went abroad, and some of them did.
On the bright side, however, in 1975, Plymouth Pilgrims football team was formed.
And in 1976 and 1977, they reached the quarter-finals of the Women's FA Cup.
Then, during the 2001 season, they became part of Plymouth Argyle, and Argyle Ladies was formed. In June 2021, they became known as Argyle Women.
But women's football had come centre stage in the 1990s with the creation of the first full-time England women's coach, a national league with 24 clubs,
And a women's football committee with a full-time coordinator and a women's Premier League.
3 other significant developments in the women's game were
England hosting the UEFA Women's Euro in 2005.
The 2012 Olympics.
And the Positive Change strategy launched in 2020 that aims to give every school girl the same access to football as boys.
and in the last 4 years the number of girls and women playing football has increased by 56%, and there's been a rise in women coaches and referees.
And Baroness Sue Campbell, who's FA's Director of Women's Football, stated that the ongoing priority is making the game accessible to all females, no matter their background or circumstances.
current and past members of Argyle Women tell us that things have improved, if not financially, then in terms of travel arrangements for away matches and training facilities.
There are no pathways available for the encouragement of the next generation.
And last year, most of the Argyle women's home matches were played at Home Park with record attendances.
But from September, Argyle Women will have their own base at Fulston Park, formerly Brookfields.
And on last Sunday, Argyle Women beat West Brom 2-1.
But perhaps we also need to remember that the Lionesses' triumph in the Euros in front of a record crowd.
That was when England's women beat Germany 2-1. Showed the men how to do it.
This took place in 2022, 100 years after the story we have just told you tonight.
So you think it's all over?
It's only just begun!
You've been a lovely audience. Thank you for coming. It's always good to see so many people. think I see some repeat faces as well. We do this for free, as you know, you don't pay to get in, and we do it all, we've done 8 performances all over many areas, Saltash and Proprietary Library, the plot, and all we ask for is that if we support these 2 charities that Jennifer already mentioned, Trevi Women and Her Game Too, so if you can give whatever you can, that would be very much appreciated by the charity.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want this? Yes. Okay, so it's CFC's.